So March 19th, you've gotten your Bronze Star?
Yeah.
Because you already had a Silver Star. Who needs another one of those?
Yeah, they were going to give me my Purple Heart, but I think they did. There was something wrong with the spelling or something with the certificate. I laughed because you only got a concussion and small shrapnel marks in the back. And it's like with my first Purple Heart, I just got some shrapnel. And it's like no big thing. I'm not shot. I'm not in the hospital. I walked out. Why should I get a Purple Heart? Purple Hearts to me is always the guy who gets shot and then you carry him back and then he's in the hospital. That to me, that's the Purple Heart. And
so you went out and earned one of those?
I didn't want to earn one of those, but 6 days later, they sent us back to the Dog's Head. We were already nervous going in because we knew we were going into a hot area again, and that's with the news crew that's with us. We land in a different landing zone, and now we find machine gun pits, enemy machine gun pits that they had built. I wasn't walking point at the beginning of the mission. Dennis Henderson, another guy in another squad, really good guy who's since passed away. Dennis came up to me and says, I'm a little bit nervous, I'm missing stuff. Would you take over point? We were both point because we like being on point. It's very, you can see what's in front of you and anything in front of you is shootable. And the helicopter that's flying treetop level in front of us, we hear the radio, get them out of there, we have people everywhere. I'm moving out, trying to keep away from the trail, walking off the trail, but I look down and I see the side trail and I see fresh footprints on it, only it's not our boot print. It's not the Vibram pattern, it's not the Panama pattern of the jungle boot, and which is very distinctive. I look down, it's a North Vietnamese boot pattern. It's kind of a tennis shoe type thing. I believe they were setting up an ambush to block us in. If they block us in from the landing zone, then all these other guys would,
No.
Traditionally, that had been one of the ways of doing it. Let the guys land, come in from behind them, attack them from behind. You're expecting something from the front. I'm down, I'm looking at the boot print, and I look up, and this guy is screaming. And it's a North Vietnamese soldier. Oh my goodness, he's less than 10 feet away. His rifle is pointing at me. He shoots me in the right leg. I shoot him, he goes down. And you have this little elation, this momentary, and it's very momentary too, the momentary elation of I killed the guy who was trying to kill me. But when I got shot, it knocked me down and back. It felt as though a fullback had knocked me over, and there's no fullback there. So my right front thigh muscle has popped out, and it's like a bad water balloon. It popped out, and I push it back in, it popped out. They're firing over me. The NVA think I'm dead. My guys think I'm down, and hopefully not dead, but down. So they're firing at each other now. I need to change magazines, so I start to raise the magazine, and then I get more fire coming at me, and somebody either threw a grenade or something, but it wasn't one of our guys. But you can't throw grenades in a jungle. So that explodes, and I just kind of lay there. I figured, well, if I move, I'm going to get shot again. I got to do something. I'm bleeding out of my right thigh. So I look around, and I see this tree, and it's a good size, mahogany type tree, deep rooted, whatnot. But I'm kind of afraid to go into it. I figure I got to crawl there, So I start to move. Then our Vietnamese scout comes out, runs, gets down on knees, starts firing, gives me a chance to get behind the tree. He says, "You saved me on 19th. I save you." I got behind the tree. I pushed the muscle in. I grabbed my first aid pouch. I tie my wound off. So the medic comes rushing up to me. He is rebandaging my bandage because I'm still bleeding, and he closes that off. And I'm sitting in a pool of blood, and the pool is growing. Now I can't feel anything really too much in my legs because it's, it doesn't hurt right away as what people think. But I'm sitting there, and the pool is growing in blood, and it's getting deeper and spilling more. So Doc looks at my left thigh, and in the back of my left thigh, there's a bullet hole that's all coagulated. He breaks it open, and the back of my left thigh falls out, and it's the thigh muscle, the hamstring and the thigh muscle was cut in half. And then he bandages me up. Now remember, I got morphine. He says, "Come on, I'm going to carry you back." I said, "Like hell you are." I said, "If you try to carry me back, we're both going to get shot." The firefight is still going on. I tell him, "You go back. I'll make it back there." He doesn't like it. I'm the sergeant. He's a great medic, and he doesn't want to leave me. I tell him, "You're going." I get up thinking, because I have morphine, I can run too. I take 2 steps, fall right on my face. and realize my legs don't work. And in that film, you'll see, they say, and the medic brings him back. It's not the medic, that's Dennis Henderson. Doc DeVelli, the medic, was a great guy, and he wanted to carry me back. I sent him back. When I fell, it was Dennis Henderson who scooped me up. He gets me back. I'm down behind a safe log firefight still going on. The lieutenant is calling in the medevac and coordinating the platoon, and the camera people, the news people are asking me questions. But, does it hurt? Which to me is like the time, like, I might have said, what the F do you think? And then I made a joke. Well, I already have 3 Purple Hearts. He says, do you think you'll be going home? And I said, well, I already have 3 Purple Hearts. I don't need a 4th.
But you're including that day as your
I was
third.
including that day because I thought this one actually does count. The medevac helicopter comes in, they drop a jungle penetrator down. Doc did a great job of bandaging my legs. But now this helicopter, because we're still taking fire, is the cable begins to swing. So I'm being pulled up. Now I get stuck in the tree limbs going up. I get yanked up through the tree. It rips off my bandages. So as you see me going up to the helicopter, it says, and a one-way ticket out of the Vietnam War. Not quite. The bandages are off, just barely tied on. They flew me back to 45th Surgical Hospital at Tay Ninh, and it's just like MASH, just like the television. The nurses, doctors, and medics come rushing out. They pull you off, put you on a gurney. As you're going in, they're attaching blood pressure monitors or cutting away your clothing. I was more angry at the fact that they had cut off my boots. My boots I had wore for the entire time, and they were just comfortable and great. But then the nurses and the doctors, they took over, and they did a tremendous job. I have the bravest people on any battlefield. It's not your John Wayne, it's the medic. To me, the second best people are the nurses and the doctors and the medics at the field hospitals and the hospitals. They see the aftermath of a war. The jungle didn't scare me. I grew up in Florida and Georgia as a kid, playing in the jungles, the swamps. I thought, that's normal. So Vietnam didn't scare me as much as the hospital did. When I got back to the hospital and I'm in the surgical ward, that scared the hell out of me. There you see the aftermath of battle, and it's horrible. It's a horrible thing. This one young soldier next to me, I say young, I was 20. He was probably 21 or 22, but looking back on it, just young. He was shot 7 times, and he had broken bones, and he had horrible wounds, and he cried all the time. Next to me was another guy that I went through NCO school with, and he had been shot in the chest, and he had a tube coming out of his chest draining the fluid in his lungs to a big glass jar that was draining out the fluid from his lungs. Next to him was a guy who had been shot through the face, lost most of his face, and it was heavily bandaged and horribly indented, but he was breathing out of a plastic disc in his throat. Very raspy sound that at night would just unnerve you. I'd take the jungle over the hospital any day. General Casey shows up, one of the division commanders, or division commander. He showed up a day or two later. They're having Purple Heart ceremonies. They're going, well, hey, you were the guy on the news, and way to go. You're the sergeant who likes to walk point. I want to tell him maybe I don't really like it. I wasn't good at it, sir. And one of the staff, I think, says, well, how do you feel to have your first Purple Heart? So I said, well, sir, it's not my first Purple Heart, it's my third, and they spelled my name wrong.
And that was not a one-way ticket home, was it?
It wasn't a one-way ticket home. It was, turns out, well, no, I didn't break any bones, and so they decided to send me up to Cameron Bay for rest and recovery at the hospital up there on the beach. It would have been really nice. It would have been a good deal, but I figured, I'll go back to my unit. I go check in with the division. I say, okay, my name's, I'm Sergeant Jorgenson. I'm Apache Troop. And they kind of give you one of these things. Well, you're supposed to be in the hospital. I said, I know. I volunteered to come back. Then they give you another look like, well, what do you mean you volunteered? You can't walk. And I said, I know. I'm going back to my unit. So they said, okay. The clerks, everybody's kind of shaking their heads at me. I would too. I'd make it back to my unit. I go and check in with the first sergeant, and they do another jaw drop thing, like, what the F are you doing back here? You're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be home. I said, I volunteered to come back, and they're just shaking their head. He goes, but I sent your stuff home. And I said, okay. I said, well, Top, no, I'm back. He goes, well, I don't know what to do with you. Go back to your hooch, and I'll talk to you later. I go back to my hooch area, and it's locked. on the inside. So I knock on the door, and there's a brand new guy there, a sergeant I don't know. I said, who are you? And he goes, I'm Sergeant such and such, and I'm taking over for the sergeant who got greased. I said, that would be me. I said, get out. And then my buddies started coming back one by one. The company clerk comes in. He says, oh, hey, here, you got some fan mail. I thought, what do I got fan mail for? And I got a stack of letters from people. My name was spelled wrong. I didn't recognize any of the addresses, didn't recognize any of the names on it. So one of the first letters of the, what I call fan mail, was they had seen the news report on TV, and they were responding. The first one was basically, the war is wrong, you're wrong, that type of thing. Second one, second to third base, same thing. Maybe it was the third or the fourth, and that's the one that had the most impact with me and showed me something I was not used to seeing. I got a letter saying, saw you get shot on TV, and I hope you lose your legs, the war is wrong, and that type of thing. At the time, that bothered me because I still wasn't quite walking yet, and I was still worried about the infection and all the other stuff. I didn't read the rest. I took the other ones out into the burn barrel, and I tossed those in and burned them all. I didn't read the other ones, I didn't care to. Basically, it's going to be either, wow, you did wonderful, or you didn't, you didn't, and it didn't matter because I was happy to be alive. He falls, and then I see these other
Rifle flashes?
rifle flashes, and your life doesn't. When you're 19, you don't have much. If your life flashes before your eyes, you're popping pimples because you don't have that much life experience.